She has options, maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe more. Men who look better, earn more, joke louder. On paper, they should have the upper hand, and yet, they don't. Because attraction doesn't follow the laws of logic. It follows the laws of emotion. Most men step into the arena of competition believing the prize is her attention. They fight with compliments, overwhelm her with constant messages, or try to prove their worth with money and effort. And here's the tragedy. The very moment they start competing, they've already lost. Why? Because competition is a silent admission of weakness. The second you try to outshine another man, you've accepted that your value rests in her decision, not in your being. Suddenly, she becomes the judge, and you become just another applicant lined up at her door, waiting for her approval like a stamp on a resume. That's not power, that's dependence. Think about the message it sends. When a man fights for her attention, what he's really saying is, choose me so I can finally feel valuable. It may sound romantic in movies, but in reality, it's suffocating. Because in that moment, you hand her all the control. She becomes the one with the crown, and you, unknowingly, become the beggar at the gates. But here's the truth. No woman is drawn to a man who willingly gives away his strength, not in the long run. Desire isn't born in neediness, it's born in presence. A woman feels the deepest pull not toward the man who works the hardest to impress her, but toward the man who doesn't need to fight at all. The man whose calm silence speaks louder than 100 desperate messages. This is the paradox most men never grasp. The harder you chase, the weaker you look. The calmer you stand, the stronger you become. Because real power isn't about proving, it's about embodying. It isn't shown through frantic effort. It's revealed through stillness, through the unshakable aura of someone who knows his worth exists with or without her. And when a man holds that kind of quiet strength, something extraordinary happens. She notices. She feels it before she even understands it. In a room full of men trying too hard, the one who doesn't compete stands out. Not because he's louder, but because he's unmovable. Not because he fights, but because he refuses to step into a fight that was never his to begin with. Here lies the first secret. The man who competes for her attention becomes forgettable. The man who refuses to compete becomes unforgettable. But why is this so powerful? To understand that, you must see what's happening inside her world. Out of 10 men, 9 will follow the same script. They'll text the same good morning lines, reply within seconds, and flood her with predictable attention. And though it may feel flattering at first, it quickly becomes noise like the hum of a refrigerator in the background. Constant, unrelenting, and forgettable. Predictability is not safety, it's boredom, and boredom is the graveyard of attraction. But the man who breaks the script, the one who doesn't reply instantly, the one who notices things others don't, the one who cannot be neatly placed in the box of another admirer, that man sparks something far rarer, curiosity, and curiosity is oxygen to the fire of desire. Why hasn't he replied yet? Why does he carry himself differently? What makes him so hard to read? Questions like these keep her awake at night, because the human mind can't let go of a mystery it hasn't solved. This is how the dynamic flips, not through louder effort, but through quieter power. Understand this. The man who runs after her shows her she is the center of his world. The man who stands grounded shows her he has his own world, and that is the world she secretly wants to be invited into. Because in the end, attraction doesn't belong to the one who shines the brightest. It belongs to the one who makes her feel the deepest. And that journey starts with you refusing to play the game everyone else is already losing. Out of 10 men in her orbit, 9 behave the exact same way. They type the same recycled lines. "Good morning, beautiful," as if originality has died. They reply within seconds, their notifications waiting like loyal dogs at the door. They flood her with attention, convinced that more effort means more desire. But here's the brutal reality. Effort does not equal attraction. If anything, the wrong kind of effort kills it. Why? Because predictability suffocates excitement. When she knows your next move before you make it, when she can script your messages in her mind before you even hit send, you're no longer mysterious. You're not intriguing. You're not a discovery waiting to be made. You've become routine. And routine isn't sexy. Routine is comfortable, and comfort is forgettable. Think about the last time you felt hooked on something. Was it predictable? Or was it the unknown, the tension, the surprise, the uncertainty that pulled you deeper? That same psychology fuels attraction. Here's the secret. Women don't remember the men who follow the script. They remember the man who breaks it. Not because he plays games, not because he manipulates, but because he lives by his own rhythm, not by her approval. Mystery is not about confusion, it's about depth. It's the quiet confidence of a man who doesn't hand out every card at once, who allows her to lean forward, to wonder, to chase the unanswered question. Why hasn't he replied yet? Why does he notice things no one else sees? What makes him different? These are the questions that loop in her mind like a song she can't stop playing. They create energy, and that energy transforms into desire. Now, contrast this with the men who over-deliver. They text too often, they over-explain, they smother with compliments. And what do those things create? Not longing, but control. She knows exactly how to pull their strings. She knows how they'll react. They're open books, easy to read, easy to predict, easy to put down. But the man she cannot fully predict, he owns her thoughts. He lives rent-free in her imagination, because uncertainty fuels obsession. Control kills attraction. Curiosity builds it. And here's the deeper truth. What she cannot control, she cannot forget. This is why niceness rarely anchors a man in her memory. Nice is expected, nice is common, nice dissolves. But intensity, whether joy, tension, or chaos, leaves a mark. The brain does not store comfortable, it stores emotional impact. It's why she forgets the man who treated her like a queen, but years later still remembers the one who unsettled her soul, the one who stirred both fire and storm inside her. Because comfort fades. But emotional anchors, those rare, shocking moments of depth, leave scars. And scars do not heal easily. A single sentence, spoken with soul, can hit harder than 100 empty compliments. Imagine this difference. 9 men say, "You're so beautiful." Their words vanish. But one man says, "There's something in the way you see the world that unsettles me, in the best way." That line, it lingers, it imprints, it becomes an anchor, because it cuts beyond the surface and touches the soul. This is the art of creating anchors. You don't flood her with constant praise. You give her rare, unforgettable moments that carve themselves into her memory. You make her feel emotions she wasn't expecting. You reflect parts of her she didn't think anyone could see. Most men try to be perfect, safe, predictable, but perfection is forgettable. Unpredictable intensity is unforgettable. And here's the paradox. When you live by your own rhythm, when your presence cannot be reduced to another predictable script, you don't just stand out. You become the story she tells herself at night, the mystery her mind keeps replaying, the anchor she cannot escape. Because attraction isn't about being the best man, it's about being the man she can't fully figure out. Picture this. 10 men flood her phone. Their words arrive endlessly, stacked on top of each other like waves that never stop crashing. Compliments, emojis, paragraphs, declarations. At first, she may enjoy the attention, but over time, it drowns her. Because when something is unlimited, it loses all of its value. Think about water, essential for life, priceless in the desert. But when it's everywhere, when it's running from every tap, you don't treasure it. You don't think twice before wasting it. Attention works the same way. 9 men are offering her constant, unlimited attention. Their presence is always available, always predictable, always free. And so it becomes background noise. But the rare man, the one whose attention is scarce, deliberate, and earned, that man transforms every word, every glance into something priceless. This is the law of inverted power. The more you chase, the weaker you become. The less you chase, the stronger your presence grows. It's not about ignoring her. It's not about playing games. It's about understanding that your attention is a form of currency, and the rarer it is, the more valuable it becomes. Think of a diamond. Its value isn't in its shine, it's in its scarcity. If diamonds were scattered like pebbles, no one would care. But because they are rare, people chase them, protect them, worship them. Your energy works the same way. When you stop handing it out recklessly, when you stop proving yourself through constant validation, something flips in her psychology. She begins to wait for your words. She begins to wonder when you'll notice her again. She begins to treasure every drop you give because it isn't guaranteed. Scarcity creates gravity. Silence creates weight. Selectivity creates desire. And this is where most men fail. They believe more equals better, more texts, more compliments, more effort. But what they don't realize is this: the more you give, the cheaper it becomes. But when you give less, but with depth, with timing, with meaning, you separate yourself completely. A single, thoughtful message, arriving when she least expects it, carries 10 times the weight of a dozen predictable good mornings. A single, piercing observation about her, one that shows you see what others overlook, creates more impact than endless flattery. This is the paradox. The man who gives the least attention, when his attention is valuable, ends up giving the most. Because she feels its rarity, she chases it, she protects it. And here's the shift. While 9 men run after her, chasing desperately, you stand still. You stop chasing, and suddenly, she begins to move toward you. This is inverted power. The game flips not because you manipulated her, but because you refuse to give away your energy cheaply. Scarcity is not distance, it is standards. It doesn't mean disappearing for days or pretending you're too busy. That's immaturity. Scarcity means you know the worth of your presence. You don't cancel your life for her. You don't text when you're bored. You don't flatter because you want approval. You give your energy with intention, not as a reflex. And when she feels that weight, she knows, this man is different. Because every other man's attention is free-flowing. Yours must be earned. And when something must be earned, it becomes addictive. She starts waiting for it. She notices when it's missing. She thinks about how to earn more of it. This is not manipulation. This is simply value recognition. The weak man gives endlessly because he fears losing her. The strong man gives wisely because he understands value. One makes her bored, the other makes her chase. So, remember this truth. The man who runs after her proves his need. The man who stands still proves his worth. And in the end, the one she chases is not the one who gave her everything. It's the one who gave her just enough to make her crave more. Ask yourself this: why does she forget the man who treated her like royalty, yet years later still remembers the one who left her restless, unsettled, even a little scarred? The answer is simple but brutal. The brain doesn't store nice, it stores intensity. Niceness feels warm in the moment, but it fades. It's comfortable, soft, and forgettable. But intensity, whether joy, tension, fire, or even chaos, burns into memory. Those emotional burns become anchors, pulling her back again and again to the man who made her feel something she couldn't control. Understand this: you do not become unforgettable by showering her with gifts or endless praise. Comfort makes her smile, but it doesn't make her crave. Addiction is not built on comfort, it's built on emotional impact. And the deepest impact comes when you touch the parts of her no one else dares to. Most men worship the mask she wears, the perfect hair, the flawless smile, the polished service. They chase the image, not the reality, and because of that, she can never drop the act. Around them, she must remain the entertainer, the prize, the flawless queen. But you do something radical. You allow her to put the mask down. You don't just admire the surface, you see the soul. You don't collapse when she shows you her contradictions, her darker moods, her fears. You don't panic when she's vulnerable. Instead, you remain calm, present, unshaken. That is what emotional safety truly means. It's not about making her comfortable with flattery. It's about showing her that her truth, the raw, unpolished parts of her, doesn't scare you away. When she feels that, she bonds to you in a way no compliments can match. Because now, you're not just another admirer of her beauty. You've become a witness to her humanity. And that creates the rarest connection of all. But before you think this is where the story ends, understand. Every woman, whether consciously or not, will test a man. Not always with words, often in silence. She may pull back. She may delay her replies. She may go cold for no reason at all. Most men fail instantly. They panic. They double text. They send question marks. They apologize for things they never did. They reveal their desperation. And in that instant, they fail the test. Because their reaction exposes the truth. Their emotions belong to her. Their peace depends on her reply. Their world collapses the moment she withdraws. But the man of power, he doesn't flinch. She disappears, and he remains steady. She delays, and his world continues. She pulls back, and he doesn't chase. Not out of arrogance, but out of self-respect. His life does not orbit around her. His value does not evaporate because of her silence. That calm strength is magnetic. It unsettles her, because she realizes, I cannot control this man, and what she cannot control, she cannot forget. Here lies the paradox most men will never understand. The man willing to walk away is always the man who stays. Not because of tricks, not because of games, but because his strength is rooted in himself, not in her. He doesn't cling, he doesn't beg, he doesn't fear losing her. And precisely because of that, she fears losing him. Detachment is not weakness. Detachment is magnetism. It is the quiet aura of a man who knows that his worth will never be defined by whether someone else chooses him. And so, while others hold tighter when she pulls away, you loosen your grip. While others beg for reassurance, you remain steady in silence. While others collapse under her tests, you pass them without effort. This flips everything. Suddenly, she is the one restless. She is the one thinking, what if I lose him? What if his silence means he's slipping away? Her mind races, her emotions churn, and in that storm she realizes something she never thought she would. The man she cannot control is the man she cannot replace. That is why, in the end, she does not choose the man who gave her the most. She does not choose the one who fought the hardest. She chooses the man who chose himself first. Because attraction was never about competing, it was about standing so firmly in your own value that the game itself bends around you. So, remember this final truth. You don't win by chasing. You don't win by proving. You don't win by begging to be chosen. You win by becoming the one who doesn't need to. And that is why, out of all her options, you become the only one who cannot be forgotten.